Welcome back to part 5 of the RX-8 series.
Seriously, I just had it.
Before we start in on things today, I just wanted to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I am 12 away from 1,000 subscribers, which is really exciting. It'll be a huge milestone for me. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It would really help me out. At this point, I have the engine off the stand, broken down, and I cleaned things up a little bit so that we can take a closer look. Starting at the front and working our way to the back, the front iron has a pretty serious gouge in the face of it from where we lost that apex seal. The first rotor housing is catastrophically damaged when that apex seal broke loose and just wreaked havoc on the inside of there. It is scratched, it's scraped, it's pitted, the lining's worn down. This guy is completely toast. The intermediate iron or center iron on the front face has some pretty bad gouges in it as well. The back face isn't too bad. I think that would be salvageable, but because of the front being so messed up, I just can't really see reusing this without getting it resurfaced and renitrided. The rear rotor housing has some chrome flaking along the top side, and it also has some unevenness and wear in the bottom and your general scratches and stuff. This guy is probably not going to be reusable either. Which brings us to the rear iron, which is in pretty decent shape. It has a little bit of wear to it, but I would be comfortable reusing that part. Which of course brings us to the rotors. You can see the apex seal left the chat, and on its way out, it spread hate and vacated, and it completely ruined the faces, all three sides of this rotor, and even where the apex seals go in. All those grooves are just completely junk. The rear rotor's in pretty decent shape, actually. After I get it cleaned up, things are looking pretty good. That's definitely a reusable part. The only issue I have is it's an E-weight rotor, which means they're a little harder to come by. The most common weight of rotor is a C-weight, so I don't know if I'll be able to source a used E-weight rotor or not, but this guy is definitely a reusable part. The E-shaft is in great shape, so that's going to be a reusable part as well. So of the 8 parts that make up this engine, meaning the front iron, the rotor housing, the intermediate iron, the second rotor housing, the rear iron, the 2 rotors, and the E-shaft, only 3 of them are good. So I've been kind of scouring the internet to try to find some good used parts. The problem with these, especially being a 6-port engine, is the rotary shops and the people that have them, if they're in good enough shape, they obviously don't want to let them go because they can go into like customer builds and stuff like that, or they use them personally. So they're actually kind of difficult to find in a used market. So let's do a little bit of math here. If I were to rebuild this engine using the parts that I can and buying the new parts from a rotary supplier or from Mazda or whatever, I would need a front iron, a front housing, an intermediate iron, a rear housing, a rotor, and of course a close kit. So the costs add up pretty quickly, and I just don't know that it's justifiable to spend that kind of money on this car. I don't think that I would ever be able to financially recover from building this thing using new parts. So I think that I'm gonna spend the next couple of days and maybe try to source a 6-port engine from somewhere, internal condition unknown, maybe get it home, break it down, see if I can use those parts. You never know, maybe I'll luck out and find one somewhere local, a junkyard perhaps. It's tough to say, but at this point, unless I can find some decent used parts, I'm not quite sure that this thing's gonna see the road again. Maybe I'll just turn it into an art display or a table or something.